The rain hammered against the windows of Giuseppe's Italian restaurant as Sarah Chen adjusted her expensive coat and stepped inside. As the CEO of Chen Industries, a tech empire worth billions, she rarely visited places like this. But tonight was different. She needed somewhere quiet to think, away from the boardrooms and endless meetings that consumed her life. The restaurant buzzed with the typical evening crowd. Families shared pasta dishes while couples whispered over candlelit tables. Sarah chose a corner booth, hoping to blend into the background despite her designer clothes and the subtle confidence that came with being one of the most powerful women in business. A young waiter approached her table, moving carefully with his left arm secured in a bright blue sling. His name tag read Marcus. Despite his injury, he maintained a warm smile that seemed genuine, not the practiced politeness she encountered from most service workers who recognized her face from magazine covers. "Good evening, ma'am. Welcome to Giuseppe's. Can I start you with something to drink?" Marcus asked, balancing a water pitcher awkwardly with his good hand. Sarah noticed how he struggled but never complained. "Just water for now, thank you. Are you managing okay with that arm?" Marcus's smile widened slightly. "Oh, this old thing? It's nothing I can't handle. I'll be back with your water right away." As he walked away, Sarah watched him navigate between tables with practiced ease despite his limitation. Other servers occasionally helped him carry larger trays, but Marcus maintained his independence with quiet dignity that impressed her. In her world of corporate executives and board members, such resilience without complaint was rare. When Marcus returned with her water, Sarah had decided on her order. "I'll have the chicken piccata, please." "Excellent choice. Giuseppe makes the best piccata in the city," Marcus said, scribbling notes with his right hand. "Will that be all for now?" Sarah nodded, then found herself asking, "Have you worked here long?" "About 8 months now. It's a great place to work. Giuseppe treats us like family." Marcus's pride in his job was evident in his voice. Throughout the meal, Sarah observed Marcus serving other tables. He remembered every customer's preferences, checked on tables without being intrusive, and somehow managed to make everyone feel special, despite clearly being overwhelmed with his injury limiting his efficiency. When an elderly couple at a nearby table struggled to decide between 2 pasta dishes, Marcus spent extra time describing each option with enthusiasm. When a child accidentally knocked over his juice, Marcus cleaned it up with patience and even made the little boy laugh by turning the incident into a silly story about clumsy elephants. Sarah had eaten at restaurants around the world, been served by staff trained at the finest establishments, but something about Marcus's authentic care for people touched her in a way she hadn't experienced before. In her corporate environment, every interaction had an agenda. Here, Marcus simply seemed to care about making people happy. As she finished her meal, Sarah noticed Marcus checking his phone during a brief break. His expression shifted to concern, then determination. He quickly put the phone away when another table needed attention, but Sarah had caught that moment of worry. When Marcus brought her check, Sarah made an impulsive decision. "Marcus, would you mind if I asked how you hurt your arm?" For the first time that evening, Marcus hesitated. His cheerful demeanor flickered slightly. "It's nothing too serious. Just an accident at my other job. Construction work can be unpredictable sometimes." "You work 2 jobs?" Sarah asked, surprised by her own curiosity about a stranger's life. Marcus nodded. "Construction during the day, here at night." "Gotta do what you gotta do, you know?" His casual acceptance of such a demanding schedule amazed her. Sarah's days were long and stressful, but she had teams of assistants, drivers, and household staff to manage her life. "That must be exhausting," she said softly. "Some days more than others," Marcus admitted with a shrug. "But I'm blessed to have work. Not everyone gets that chance." His perspective struck her. Here was someone working 2 physically demanding jobs, injured, yet expressing gratitude rather than complaints. In Sarah's world, people complained about stock prices, merger delays, or having to work late on acquisition deals. The contrast was startling. As Sarah prepared to leave, she left a generous tip and found herself wanting to know more about this remarkable young man. Something about his genuine nature and quiet strength had captured her attention in a way that felt both unexpected and meaningful. Walking to her Tesla in the parking lot, Sarah couldn't shake the image of Marcus carefully balancing plates with one good arm, while maintaining that sincere smile for every customer. She had built her fortune by recognizing potential and value where others missed it. Something told her there was much more to Marcus's story than what she had glimpsed tonight. The rain continued falling as she drove back to her penthouse apartment, but her mind kept returning to Giuseppe's restaurant and the waiter who had somehow managed to serve her more than just dinner. He had reminded her of something she had almost forgotten in her climb to the top of the business world. That genuine human connection still existed, even in the most unexpected places. That night, as Sarah reviewed quarterly reports in her home office, she found herself distracted by thoughts of Marcus. How many people were out there working multiple jobs just to survive? How many showed up with injuries and still gave their best effort? In her corporate bubble, she rarely encountered such raw determination and positivity. She made a mental note to return to Giuseppe's soon. Something told her that her encounter with Marcus was just the beginning of a story that would change both of their lives in ways neither could imagine. 3 days later, Sarah found herself back at Giuseppe's, though she couldn't fully explain why. She told herself it was because the food was good and the atmosphere relaxing, but deep down she knew she wanted to see Marcus again. There was something about his story that had stayed with her. This time she arrived earlier, around 6 o'clock, when the dinner rush was just beginning. Marcus was there, still wearing his sling but moving with the same determined grace she remembered. When he spotted her, his face lit up with recognition. "Welcome back. Same table as last time?" he asked, guiding her to the corner booth she had occupied before. "Please, you have a good memory," Sarah said, settling into her seat. "I remember all my customers, especially the nice ones," Marcus replied with that genuine smile. "What can I get you to drink tonight?" As Marcus walked away to get her usual water, Sarah noticed something different. He seemed tired in a way that went beyond the physical exhaustion of working 2 jobs. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his cheerful demeanor seemed to require more effort than before. When he returned with her water and bread, Sarah decided to engage him in conversation. "How's your arm healing?" "Getting better every day," Marcus said, though his tone lacked conviction. "Doctor says maybe 2 more weeks in the sling." "That's good news. Construction work must be difficult one-handed." Marcus paused, his expression becoming guarded. "Actually, I'm not doing construction right now. Can't really handle the physical demands with this injury, but it'll heal up soon enough." Sarah realized her assumption had been wrong and she felt embarrassed for prying. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to assume. That must make things financially difficult." For a moment, Marcus's professional mask slipped, and Sarah saw genuine worry in his eyes. "Yeah, it's been challenging, but we're managing. Always something works out, you know?" The way he said "we" caught Sarah's attention. "We?" Marcus hesitated, then seemed to make a decision. "My daughter and I, she's 7. Smart as a whip and twice as stubborn." His face transformed when he spoke about her, love and pride replacing the worry. "She must be proud of how hard you work," Sarah said softly. "I hope so. I want her to understand that honest work is always worth doing, no matter what kind it is." Marcus glanced around the restaurant. "She actually comes here sometimes after school when Mrs. Rodriguez next door can't watch her. Giuseppe doesn't mind as long as she does her homework quietly in the back booth." Sarah was touched by this glimpse into Marcus's life. A single father, working multiple jobs, injured yet still maintaining his dignity and positive outlook. It reminded her of her own father, who had worked 3 jobs to put her through college before she built her business empire. "What's her name?" Sarah asked. "Emma. Emma Rodriguez, well, Emma Martinez actually. She kept her mother's last name." The shadow that crossed Marcus's face when he mentioned Emma's mother told Sarah there was pain there, but she didn't pry further. "I'd love to meet her sometime," Sarah said, surprising herself with the offer. Marcus looked equally surprised. "She'd probably talk your ear off about dinosaurs or space or whatever she's obsessed with this week. Kid has more curiosity than I know what to do with." Before Sarah could respond, another customer flagged Marcus down. As he hurried away to take their order, Sarah found herself thinking about her own childhood. Her parents had sacrificed everything to give her opportunities, working multiple jobs while she studied and eventually built her tech company. She had never forgotten where she came from, but somewhere along the way, she had lost touch with people who were still fighting those battles. When Marcus returned to take her order, Sarah made another impulsive decision. "Marcus, I hope this doesn't sound inappropriate, but I'd like to help. Maybe there's a temporary position at one of my companies that would work better with your injury?" Marcus stiffened slightly.
I appreciate the offer, ma'am, but I don't take charity. It wouldn't be charity.
It would be a job with honest pay for honest work. You clearly have strong work ethic and people skills. That's exactly what businesses need. Marcus studied her face, trying to determine if she was sincere or just feeling sorry for him. What kind of business are you in? Sarah realized she hadn't introduced herself properly. I'm Sarah Chen. I run a technology company. She decided not to mention that Chen Industries was worth several $billion or that she was regularly featured in business magazines. Technology? I don't know much about computers and all that. You'd be surprised how much of business is just treating people well and solving problems. You do both of those naturally. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Sarah could see him wrestling with pride and practicality. Finally, he spoke. Can I think about it? I mean, I appreciate the offer, I really do. But I've got Emma to think about and I can't afford to make mistakes with her depending on me. Of course. Take all the time you need. The offer stands whenever you're ready. As Marcus walked away to check on other tables, Sarah felt a warmth she hadn't experienced in years. In her business world, she was used to people wanting things from her. Investments, partnerships, acquisitions. But Marcus's reluctance to accept help, his insistence on earning his way, reminded her of values she had held dear before success had surrounded her with people who had different motivations. She watched him interact with other customers throughout the evening. An elderly woman asked about her grandson who was studying engineering, and Marcus listened intently, offering encouragement. A young couple celebrating an anniversary received extra attention, and Marcus somehow arranged for Giuseppe to send out a complimentary dessert. Every interaction was genuine, caring, human. When Sarah finished her meal and prepared to leave, Marcus approached her table one more time. Ms. Chen, I've been thinking about what you said. Maybe we could talk more about that job opportunity. Not for me necessarily, but I'd like to understand what you're offering. Emma's got big dreams and I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to help her achieve them. Sarah smiled, recognizing in his words the same determination that had driven her own parents. Absolutely. Here's my card. Call me when you're ready to talk. As she drove home that night, Sarah felt more energized than she had in months. Something about Marcus's story had awakened a part of her that success had buried, the part that remembered struggling, fighting, and dreaming of better days. She had a feeling that helping Marcus might end up helping her rediscover something valuable she had lost along the way. Marcus stared at Sarah's business card for 3 days before he found the courage to call. When he finally looked up Chen Industries online, his hand started shaking. Sarah Chen wasn't just any business owner. She was one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the country. Forbes had listed her company as one of the fastest-growing technology firms, worth billions of dollars. His first instinct was to throw the card away. What could someone like him possibly offer to a company like that? But then Emma came home from school with a notice about upcoming field trips, school supplies needed, and a science fair project that would require materials they couldn't afford. Marcus picked up the phone. Chen Industries. Sarah Chen's office, a professional voice answered. Hi, this is Marcus Martinez. Ms. Chen gave me her card and said I should call about a possible job opportunity. Marcus felt his voice crack slightly with nervousness. One moment, please. Mr. Martinez, Ms. Chen is expecting your call. Before Marcus could process that Sarah had been expecting him to call, her familiar voice came on the line. Marcus, I'm so glad you decided to reach out. How are you feeling? How's the arm? Better, thank you. Ms. Chen, I have to be honest with you. I looked up your company online and I'm not sure I understand why someone like you would want to help someone like me. Sarah's laugh was warm and genuine. Someone like you? Marcus, you're exactly the kind of person any smart business owner should want to work with. But let's not discuss this over the phone. Would you be free to meet tomorrow afternoon? Maybe you could bring Emma along. I'd love to meet her. Emma? Marcus was surprised. Are you sure? 7-year-olds can be pretty energetic. I'm counting on it. How about tomorrow at 2 o'clock? There's a park near my downtown office with a great playground. We can talk while Emma plays. The next afternoon, Marcus stood nervously outside Riverside Park holding Emma's hand. She had insisted on wearing her best dress and had spent 20 minutes that morning explaining to him why dinosaurs were better than unicorns and why her teacher was wrong about Pluto not being a planet anymore. Daddy, you said we're meeting your friend. Is she nice? Emma asked, swinging his good hand. I think so, sweetheart. She's offered to help Daddy find a better job. Good. Maybe then you won't be so tired all the time, Emma said with the blunt honesty of children. Marcus winced. He thought he had been hiding his exhaustion better than that. Sarah arrived precisely at 2, but she looked different than she had at the restaurant. Instead of expensive business attire, she wore jeans and a simple sweater. Her hair was in a ponytail and she carried a small backpack. Marcus, and you must be Emma, Sarah said, kneeling down to Emma's eye level. Your dad has told me so much about you. Emma studied Sarah with the serious expression children use when meeting new adults. Are you really Daddy's friend? I hope I can be, Sarah replied honestly. Do you like dinosaurs? Sarah grinned. I love dinosaurs. Did you know some of the computer programs my company makes help scientists study dinosaur fossils? Emma's eyes widened with fascination. Really? Can computers bring dinosaurs back to life like in the movies? Not exactly like the movies, but they can help us understand how dinosaurs lived and moved. Would you like to see some pictures on my tablet? As Sarah showed Emma interactive dinosaur applications on her tablet, Marcus watched in amazement. This billionaire CEO was sitting cross-legged on a park bench, patiently explaining technology to his 7-year-old daughter as if she were the most important person in the world. After Emma ran off to play on the swings, Sarah and Marcus found a quiet bench to talk. She's wonderful, Marcus. You should be incredibly proud. She's everything to me, Marcus said simply, which is why I need to ask you directly. What exactly are you offering? I can't afford to make mistakes that might affect her. Sarah appreciated his directness. I need someone to manage customer relations at one of our smaller divisions. It's not glamorous work, but it requires exactly the skills I watched you demonstrate at Giuseppe's. Patience, problem-solving, genuine care for people. The pay is $45,000 a year plus health benefits. Marcus felt his heart stop. $45,000 was more than he made working both the restaurant and construction jobs combined. And health benefits meant Emma could finally see the pediatric dentist she needed. I don't have a college degree, Marcus said quietly. I barely finished high school before Emma came along. Some of my best employees never went to college. They learned by doing, by caring, by showing up every day and solving problems. That's what you've been doing your whole life. Why me, though? You could hire someone with experience, someone with credentials. Sarah was quiet for a moment, watching Emma play with other children on the playground. Can I tell you a story? When I was building my company, I hired a lot of people with impressive resumes and advanced degrees. Some were great, but others treated customers like numbers on a spreadsheet. Then I hired Maria, a woman who had been working retail for 15 years. She didn't know anything about technology, but she understood people. She became one of our most valuable employees because she could solve problems the computer experts couldn't even see. Marcus nodded slowly. And you think I could do something like that? I watched you at Giuseppe's, Marcus. You remembered every customer's preferences. You made that little boy laugh when he spilled his juice. You took extra time with the elderly couple choosing their meal. You treated everyone with respect and kindness. Those aren't skills you can teach in business school. Those come from character. Emma ran back to them, slightly out of breath from playing. Daddy, can Miss Sarah come have dinner with us sometime? I want to show her my dinosaur books. Sarah looked at Marcus questioningly. I'd love to if your dad says it's okay. Emma, we can't just invite people over. Ms. Chen is very busy. Sarah, she corrected gently. And Emma, I would be honored to see your dinosaur books. Maybe this weekend? That evening, as Marcus tucked Emma into bed, she peppered him with questions about Sarah. Is she going to be your new boss, Daddy? Maybe, sweetheart. Would that be okay with you? I think so. She knew a lot about dinosaurs and she listened when I talked. Most grown-ups don't really listen. Marcus kissed Emma goodnight and went to his small kitchen table where Sarah's business card lay next to Emma's homework. For the first time in months, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. Not just for a better job, but for the possibility that Emma might have opportunities he had never dreamed of providing for her. He picked up his phone and typed a text message. Sarah, this is Marcus. If the offer is still open, I'd like to accept. Thank you for believing in me. The response came back within minutes. Welcome to the team, Marcus. This is going to be great. Marcus's first day at Chen Industries felt like stepping into a different world. The sleek glass building in downtown reached toward the sky, filled with people in expensive suits talking about quarterly projections and market analyses. He wore his only good shirt and tie, freshly pressed but clearly not as expensive as what everyone else wore. Sarah met him in the lobby personally, which surprised several employees who whispered among themselves. She guided him to the 15th floor, where the customer relations division occupied a modern open office space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet Marcus Martinez, our new customer relations specialist," Sarah announced to the team of about 12 people. Marcus brings years of experience in customer service and problem solving. The reactions were mixed. Some employees smiled welcomingly, while others seemed skeptical about the new hire who clearly hadn't come from their usual corporate recruitment channels. Marcus noticed the looks but focused on Sarah's confidence in him. His supervisor, Janet Williams, was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who had worked her way up from an entry-level position. She showed Marcus to his desk and explained his responsibilities. "You'll be handling customer complaints and service issues," Janet explained. "Most of our clients are small businesses who license our software. They're not always tech-savvy, so patience is important. Think you can handle that?" Marcus smiled. "I spent 8 months explaining menu items to customers who couldn't decide between chicken and fish. I think I can manage," Janet laughed. "I like you already." Marcus's first week involved training sessions, learning about the company's software products, and shadowing experienced team members. The technology was complex, but Marcus discovered that most customer problems weren't really about the software. They were about feeling heard and understood. His first major test came during his second week. A small bakery owner named Robert Chen, no relation to Sarah, called in a panic because his point-of-sale system had crashed during the morning rush. The previous customer service representative had tried to walk him through technical troubleshooting, but Robert was frustrated and threatening to cancel his contract. "Mr. Chen, I understand this is incredibly stressful," Marcus began, using the same calm tone he had perfected at Giuseppe's. "Let's start with what's most important right now, getting you back up and running so you can serve your customers." "Finally, someone who gets it," Robert exclaimed. "I've got a line of people wanting coffee and pastries, and I can't process any payments." Instead of diving into technical solutions, Marcus asked about Robert's bakery, learned about his regular customers, and understood why the morning rush was crucial to his daily revenue. Then he offered a simple workaround while scheduling a technician to fix the underlying problem. "You saved my day," Robert said gratefully. "Most companies just read from scripts. You actually cared about my business." Janet overheard the call and nodded approvingly. By the end of Marcus's first month, his customer satisfaction scores were the highest in the department. More importantly, several clients had specifically asked to work with him again. During a team meeting, Sarah stopped by to check on the department's progress. When Janet mentioned Marcus's success rate, Sarah beamed with pride. "What's your secret, Marcus?" asked Jennifer, one of the other customer service representatives. Marcus thought carefully before answering. "I guess I remember what it feels like to need help. When you're struggling with something that seems simple to everyone else, you just want someone to treat you like a person, not a problem to solve." After the meeting, Sarah asked Marcus to walk with her to the company cafe. "How are you settling in? Any regrets about leaving restaurant work?" Marcus shook his head. "It's been amazing, Sarah. Emma can't believe I come home for dinner now instead of leaving for another job. And the health insurance, she's seeing a dentist for the first time in 2 years. And how is Emma adjusting to the changes?" "She loves it. She's already made friends at the after-school program we could finally afford. She wants to visit the office sometime to see where Daddy works. Bring her by anytime. I meant what I said about wanting to see those dinosaur books." As they talked, Marcus noticed other employees watching them with curiosity. He knew some people wondered why the CEO took a personal interest in a customer service representative, but Sarah seemed genuinely invested in his success. "Sarah, can I ask you something? Why does this matter to you? I mean, you've got hundreds of employees. Why do you care so much about my story?" Sarah was quiet for a moment, stirring her coffee. "My parents worked 3 jobs between them to put me through college. My father cleaned offices at night, did landscaping during the day, and my mother worked at a factory and cleaned houses on weekends. They never complained, never made excuses. They just worked hard and believed in me." She paused, looking out the window at the city below. "When I started making money, I wanted to help people like my parents. People who work hard but just need someone to give them a chance. You remind me of them, Marcus. You remind me of why I wanted to succeed in the first place. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just keep being yourself. Keep caring about people the way you do. That's more valuable than any business degree. That evening, Marcus picked up Emma from her after-school program. As they walked home, she chattered about her day, her new friends, and the science project she was planning. Daddy, Kelly's mom works at a bank, and Tommy's dad fixes cars. What should I tell people about what you do? Marcus smiled. Tell them your daddy helps people solve problems. He works with computers and phones to make sure people get the help they need. That sounds important, Emma said seriously. Are you happy at your new job? Marcus stopped walking and knelt down to Emma's level. I'm very happy, sweetheart. And you know what makes me happiest? Knowing that you're proud of me. I've always been proud of you, Daddy, even when you were tired all the time. That night after Emma went to bed, Marcus sat at his kitchen table paying bills, something he could do without anxiety for the first time in years. His phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Heard great feedback about you from 3 different clients today. Emma should be proud her dad is making a real difference. Marcus smiled and typed back, Thank you for seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself. The response came quickly. I didn't see anything that wasn't already there. You just needed the right opportunity to let it shine. As Marcus prepared for bed, he reflected on how much his life had changed in just a few weeks. The broken arm that had seemed like a disaster had somehow led to the best opportunity he'd ever received. Sometimes he thought the worst moments in life were just setups for the best ones. 3 months into his new job, Marcus had become one of the most respected members of the customer relations team. His approach of treating every client like a neighbor needing help had transformed how the entire department handled difficult cases. But it was during a particularly challenging afternoon that Marcus would learn the full story of why Sarah had really taken such interest in him. Emma had been asking for weeks to visit Daddy's office, so on a Friday afternoon when school ended early, Marcus arranged for her to spend an hour at Chen Industries. She arrived wearing her favorite dinosaur t-shirt and carrying her backpack full of the promised books for Sarah. The office staff immediately fell in love with Emma's enthusiasm and curiosity. She asked thoughtful questions about everyone's work, complimented the receptionist's earrings, and impressed the IT department with her knowledge of how computers process information. Your daughter is remarkable, Janet told Marcus as they watched Emma explain her latest school project to a group of fascinated software engineers. She's got natural leadership qualities. Sarah appeared just as Emma was describing her dream of becoming a paleontologist who uses computers to study dinosaurs. Did someone mention dinosaurs? That's my favorite topic. Emma's face lit up. Sarah, I brought my books like I promised. Do you really have time to look at them? For you, Emma, I have all the time in the world. They settled into Sarah's corner office, where Emma spread out her collection of dinosaur books, drawings, and a small fossil she had found on a school field trip. Sarah listened intently as Emma explained her theories about why different dinosaurs had different features and how scientists figure out what they ate. You know, Emma, some of our software actually helps paleontologists organize their research. Would you like to see how it works? Emma's eyes grew wide with excitement. For the next 30 minutes, Sarah showed Emma real paleontological databases, explaining how scientists from around the world share information about their discoveries. Emma asked dozens of questions, many of which impressed Sarah with their sophistication. Marcus watched from the doorway, amazed by how naturally Sarah connected with his daughter. But something in Sarah's expression as she talked with Emma seemed deeper than simple kindness. There was an intensity, almost a wistfulness that Marcus couldn't quite understand. After Emma returned to showing her books, Sarah stepped outside the office with Marcus. She's incredibly bright, Marcus. Have you thought about specialized educational opportunities for her? There are programs for gifted children that could really nurture her scientific interests. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Those programs are expensive, aren't they? I mean, we're doing better now, but some are, but there are scholarships, grants, ways to make it work. A mind like Emma's deserves every opportunity. Before Marcus could respond, Emma called out from the office. Daddy, Sarah, come look at this. They returned to find Emma had arranged her books and drawings into what she called a dinosaur timeline, showing how different species evolved over millions of years. Her organization was logical and creative, demonstrating an understanding of complex concepts that surprised even Sarah. "Emma, this is museum-quality work," Sarah said genuinely. "Have you ever been to the Natural History Museum downtown?" Emma shook her head. "Daddy says maybe someday when we save enough money." Sarah looked at Marcus with a question in her eyes. He nodded slightly. "What if we went together tomorrow? All three of us? I happen to know the curator, and she might be able to show us some fossils they don't usually display for the public." Emma literally jumped up and down with excitement. "Really? Really truly? Daddy, can we?" Marcus smiled at his daughter's joy. "If Sarah doesn't mind spending her Saturday with us, then yes." The next day at the museum was magical for Emma, but it was also revealing for Marcus. As they walked through the exhibits, Sarah shared stories about her own childhood fascination with science and learning. She mentioned visiting museums with her grandmother because her parents were always working. "My parents sacrificed everything for my education," Sarah explained quietly while Emma was absorbed in studying a triceratops skeleton. "They never got to see me graduate from college. They both died in a car accident during my sophomore year." Marcus felt his heart clench. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. They never got to see what their sacrifices led to, never saw the company I built, never met grandchildren, never got to stop working so hard." Sarah's voice was soft but filled with old pain. "When I watch Emma with you, see how proud she is of her father, it reminds me of how I felt about my parents, but also of what they never got to experience." Marcus began to understand why Sarah had been so invested in his story. "Is that why you helped me? Because of your parents?" Sarah nodded. "Partly, but also because Emma deserves what every child deserves. A parent who's present, who's not exhausted from working multiple jobs just to survive." "You're a good father, Marcus. Your daughter needs you healthy and happy, not worn down by circumstances you can't control." They caught up with Emma, who was now explaining to a museum docent her theory about why some dinosaurs developed feathers. The docent, clearly impressed, was taking notes on Emma's observations. "That little girl is going to change the world someday," the docent told Marcus and Sarah. "You should be incredibly proud." As they drove home that evening, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the excitement of the day. Sarah followed Marcus to his apartment to help carry Emma inside. She had insisted on buying Emma several books from the museum gift shop despite Marcus's protests. "Let me help you get her to bed," Sarah offered. Marcus's small apartment was clean but modest, a stark contrast to what Sarah was accustomed to. But she noticed how it was filled with Emma's artwork, school projects, and evidence of a father who prioritized his daughter's interests above his own comfort. After they tucked Emma into bed, Marcus made coffee and they sat at his small kitchen table. "Sarah, I need you to know something. What you've done for us, it's not just about the job. You've given Emma hope for a future I never thought possible. But I also need to understand something." "What's that? Are you helping us because you care about us or because we remind you of something you lost?" Sarah was quiet for a long time, stirring her coffee and considering the question. Finally, she looked up at Marcus with tears in her eyes. "At first, maybe it was about my parents. But now? Marcus, you and Emma have become genuinely important to me, not as symbols of something else, but as yourselves. Emma's curiosity, her joy, her brilliant mind, that's all her. And your strength, your dedication to her, your character, that's all you." She wiped her eyes. "I guess what I'm saying is that maybe I needed you and Emma as much as you needed the opportunity I offered. You've reminded me why success matters, not for the money or recognition, but for the ability to help people like you reach their full potential." Marcus reached across the table and squeezed Sarah's hand. "Thank you for seeing us, for really seeing us. Not everyone would have looked twice at a single dad struggling to make ends meet." "The best people I've ever known have been the ones fighting the hardest battles," Sarah replied. "You don't give up, Marcus. Even when things were at their worst, you kept showing up, kept taking care of Emma, kept believing things could get better. That's not common." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both reflecting on how much their lives had changed since that first meeting at Giuseppe's restaurant. "There's something else I want to discuss with you," Sarah said eventually. "I've been watching how you handle customer relations, and I think you're ready for more responsibility. What would you say to a promotion? Customer relations manager with a team to supervise?" Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. "Sarah, I've only been there 3 months. I don't have management experience. You've been managing difficult situations your entire adult life. You've been leading by example every day I've known you. The team already comes to you when they have challenging cases because they've seen how you handle people. But the other employees who've been there longer will respect you because you've earned it through your work, not because of favoritism. Janet's actually the one who suggested the promotion. She says you have a natural ability to solve problems and help others succeed. Marcus thought about Emma, about the opportunities this could provide for her education, for their future. But he also thought about the responsibility and whether he was truly ready. Can I think about it? Of course. But Marcus, stop doubting yourself. I've built $1 billion company by recognizing talent and potential. I don't make these offers lightly. As Sarah prepared to leave, she turned back to Marcus. One more thing. Emma mentioned wanting to enter the state science fair next year. If she's interested, I'd like to help sponsor her project. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because I believe in her potential. After Sarah left, Marcus checked on Emma, who was sleeping peacefully surrounded by her new museum books. He sat on the edge of her bed thinking about how much their lives had changed and how much more change might be coming. Daddy? Emma's sleepy voice interrupted his thoughts. Sorry, sweetheart. Did I wake you? No, I was thinking about today. Sarah's really nice, isn't she? She listens like you do. Yes, she is nice. And she thinks you're very smart. Emma was quiet for a moment. Daddy, are you going to marry Sarah? Marcus nearly fell off the bed. Emma, what makes you ask that? She looks at you the way Mrs. Rodriguez looks at Mr. Rodriguez, and she looks at me like I'm special. Plus, she knows about dinosaurs. Marcus couldn't help but laugh. Those are all good qualities, but Sarah and I are just friends. She's my boss and your friend. Okay, but if you did marry her, I wouldn't mind. She's pretty and smart, and she made you smile more than you have in a long time. As Emma drifted back to sleep, Marcus realized his 7-year-old daughter had noticed something he had been trying not to acknowledge. Somewhere along the way, his gratitude and respect for Sarah had grown into something deeper. But Sarah Chen was a billionaire CEO, and he was a customer service representative she had taken pity on. The gulf between their worlds seemed insurmountable. Still, as he finally went to bed that night, Marcus found himself thinking about the way Sarah had looked at Emma's drawings, the patience she had shown at the museum, and the tears in her eyes when she talked about her parents. Maybe the distance between their worlds wasn't as great as he had imagined. Maybe, just maybe, they had more in common than either of them had initially realized. 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of the bathroom mirror in his new apartment, adjusting his tie and trying to calm his nerves. Tonight was the annual Chen Industries company dinner, and as the newly promoted customer relations manager, he was expected to give a brief speech about his team's achievements. But more than that, tonight felt like a celebration of how completely his and Emma's lives had been transformed. The promotion had come with a significant salary increase, allowing them to move to a better neighborhood where Emma could walk to school safely. She had started in the gifted program at her new school and was already working on her science fair project about how computer modeling could help predict dinosaur behavior patterns. Sarah had connected her with a paleontologist at the local university who was serving as her mentor. Emma appeared in his doorway, wearing the navy blue dress Sarah had helped her pick out for the occasion. Daddy, you look very handsome. Are you nervous about your speech? A little bit, sweetheart, but not as nervous as I used to get when I had to work 2 jobs and worry about paying rent. Emma smiled. Sarah says nervousness means you care about doing well. She gets nervous before big meetings, too. Marcus had learned many things about Sarah over the past months as their friendship had deepened. Despite her wealth and success, she still felt imposter syndrome sometimes. She worked incredibly long hours because she felt responsible for every employee's livelihood. And she had admitted to Marcus that she often felt lonely at the top, surrounded by people who wanted things from her rather than genuine connection. Their relationship had evolved slowly and naturally. What started as professional meetings had become regular dinners, weekend museum visits with Emma, and long conversations about everything from business philosophy to parenting challenges. Marcus had even helped Sarah learn to cook basic meals, something she had never had time to master despite her success in every other area of life. The company dinner was held at the city's most elegant hotel ballroom. Marcus and Emma arrived to find hundreds of employees, clients, and business partners mingling in an atmosphere of celebration and success. Emma immediately spotted Sarah across the room and waved enthusiastically. Sarah made her way over to them, stunning in a sophisticated black dress that somehow managed to be both professional and elegant. "Don't you two look amazing? Emma, you're going to outshine everyone here." "Sarah, you look like a princess," Emma said with 7-year-old honesty. "Daddy said you look beautiful, but I think princess is more accurate." Marcus felt his face redden as Sarah laughed. "Did he say that? Well, your daddy looks pretty handsome himself." Throughout the evening, Marcus was struck by how seamlessly he and Emma fit into Sarah's world now. His team members included him in their conversations naturally. Clients remembered him from previous interactions, and several executives congratulated him on his innovative approaches to customer relations. He was no longer the charity case or the lucky waiter. He had earned his place through competence and hard work. When it came time for speeches, Sarah took the podium first to address the company's achievements over the past year. She spoke about growth, innovation, and the importance of every team member's contribution. But then she did something unexpected. "This year has reminded me why we're in business, not just to create technology, but to create opportunities. One of our most successful initiatives has been expanding our approach to talent recruitment, looking beyond traditional credentials to find people with character, work ethic, and genuine care for others." Sarah's eyes found Marcus in the crowd. "6 months ago, I met someone who exemplified these qualities." Marcus Martinez was working 2 jobs to support his daughter, treating every customer with respect and kindness, despite facing personal challenges. Today, he leads our customer relations department and has transformed how we approach client services. His success reminds us that potential exists everywhere. We just have to be willing to see it. The applause was thunderous, and Marcus felt overwhelmed by the recognition and acceptance from his colleagues. When it was his turn to speak, he walked to the podium with Emma's encouraging smile giving him confidence. "When Sarah offered me this opportunity, I almost turned it down because I didn't think I deserved it," Marcus began. "I learned that deserving something and being ready for it are 2 different things. Sarah didn't just give me a job. She gave me the chance to discover capabilities I didn't know I had." He looked at his team members scattered throughout the audience. "Our customer relations success this year isn't about new software or policies. It's about remembering that behind every phone call, every email, every complaint, there's a person who needs help. When we treat people with dignity and genuine care, everything else falls into place." Marcus paused, finding Sarah in the crowd. "I also learned that success isn't just about personal achievement. It's about using whatever gifts you have to lift others up." Sarah Chen could have walked past a struggling waiter and never thought about him again. Instead, she saw potential and took a chance. That decision changed 2 lives, mine and my daughter's. The speech concluded with another standing ovation, but Marcus barely heard it. He was focused on Emma's proud smile and Sarah's emotional expression. After the formal dinner ended, Sarah, Marcus, and Emma found themselves on the hotel's rooftop garden, away from the crowd. Emma was showing Sarah pictures on her tablet of her latest science project while Marcus reflected on the evening. "Penny, for your thoughts?" Sarah asked, settling beside him on a bench while Emma explored the garden. "I was thinking about that night at Giuseppe's when you first came in. If someone had told me then that 6 months later I'd be giving a speech at a corporate dinner, I would have thought they were crazy. Do you miss it sometimes? The simplicity of that life?" Marcus considered the question. "I miss some things. I miss the immediate satisfaction of making someone happy with good service. I miss Giuseppe's stories and the way the regular customers became like family. But I don't miss the stress, the exhaustion, or worrying about Emma's future." Sarah nodded. "I never told you this, but I went back to Giuseppe's a few weeks after you started at Chen Industries. I wanted to see how they were doing without you." "Oh no, did they ask you where I went?" "Giuseppe said he missed you but was proud that you had found something better. He said good people deserve good opportunities." Sarah smiled. "He also said he could tell I was the reason you left and he threatened to poison my food if I ever hurt you." Marcus laughed. "That sounds like Giuseppe." Emma ran back to them, slightly out of breath from exploring. "This garden is almost as cool as the museum. Sarah, will you help me plan my birthday party next month? I want to have a dinosaur theme and Daddy doesn't know anything about party decorating. I would love to help with your party." "Emma, but I should probably ask your dad first." Emma looked between them with the perception that sometimes surprised adults. "You don't have to ask permission to be part of our family, Sarah. We want you here." The simple honesty of Emma's statement hung in the air between them. Marcus felt his heart racing as he realized his daughter had articulated something he had been afraid to say himself. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, that's the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me." As they rode the elevator down from the rooftop, Emma fell asleep against Sarah's shoulder. Marcus watched the woman who had transformed their lives gently stroking his daughter's hair, and he realized that somewhere along the way, gratitude had become love. "Sarah," he said quietly, not wanting to wake Emma. "Yes? When this all started, you said you wanted to help people like your parents, people who work hard but just need a chance." "I remember. I think maybe you needed a chance too. A chance to have the family your parents never got to see you build." Sarah looked down at sleeping Emma, then up at Marcus. "Is that what this is? Are we becoming a family?" Marcus reached over and took her free hand. "If you want us to be." Sarah's smile was radiant. "I can't think of anything I want more." As the elevator reached the ground floor, Marcus realized that the broken arm that had seemed like such a disaster was actually the beginning of the most beautiful chapter of their lives. Sometimes the worst moments really were just setups for the best ones, and sometimes a chance encounter with a struggling waiter could change everything for everyone involved. Emma stirred as they reached the car. "Are we going home now?" "Yes, sweetheart," Marcus said. "We're all going home.